Okay, so this is for a client of mine who has elbow tendonitis on both sides. Not only his right arm, but his left arm. So we came up with a little bit of an idea on how to help him relieve some of the tissue tension in his elbows and also gain more function, not only through his hands, his wrists, his elbows, and his shoulders, but to take that all the way down in his spine. So this is what we came up with. So he started off with some real easy pushing his chest forward and then rounding his back backwards. So pushing your chest forward and rounding your back all the way, dropping your chin down towards your chest, and then push your chest forward, lifting your sternum up towards the ceiling as far as you can get it. So rounding your back and then pushing your chest forward. And then we'll take it down into his shoulders by standing and rolling his right arm down and his left arm back, and then switching that up. So with your feet together or slightly spread apart, being able to turn and twist not only your shoulders from the shoulder joint, but to bring this shoulder down and in to shorten this part of your chest, and on the opposite side to lengthen that part of your chest by taking your shoulder blade down and back. So round, round, and switch. And then from the shoulders, we actually took it down into the elbows by doing this little hitchhiker move that we've done before and we've seen before. But the idea is to crank your whole entire hand over. So thumb in towards your chest, over the top, and then crank away. As if you're trying to take that thumb and arm down, open to the outside. So you're opening up the front of your elbow pit up towards the ceiling. And then come around, and then switch, and go the opposite direction. And this is going to be done with both arms. So not only your right side, but your left side. And then once you've done this kind of single movement with your elbows, we're going to go into a double movement. So it's taking your elbow pits up towards the ceiling, turning your arms in, bringing your arms out to the side, dropping down, and then coming up. Turning your elbows out, bringing them down, and then elbow pits up towards the ceiling. And then we'll go the opposite direction. So it's to bring your arms down, out to the sides, and then together. Pits up, elbows down, out to the sides, together. So we can actually smooth this pattern out using constraint of keeping your hands together. So your wrists and your hands aren't moving all that much. And you can actually go both directions. So around, and then from the elbows we'll bring it down to the wrists and hands. So this is also something that we've done before, which is not moving your wrist, or your hand rather, on top of your wrist, but moving your wrist up and down and also side to side. So again, it's not moving your hand back and forth. It's actually moving your wrist on top of your hand. So it's a small movement in the wrist joint. Just trying to imagine that you're moving the wrist up and down and side to side. And then from the wrist, we'll come down into the hands. And spreading your fingers as wide apart as you can, start to make circles with your fingers. And if you start off with clockwise, we'll go clockwise with all of your fingers, all the way down to the end. And then when you get down to the pinky, we'll actually switch and go the opposite direction, all the way up through your hands. Now we've done all these movements that are somewhat a little bit reductionist, so looking at just the shoulder joint, looking at just the elbow joint, looking at just the wrist joint, and then looking at the hands. We want to find a movement that we can somewhat integrate that together. And one of the ways that you can do that is to actually do this teacup business. So we can start off with one hand forward, bring your hand back, and the idea is to try and keep the palm of your hand as flat as you can. And then underneath, over the top, and then back to the front. So it's bringing your hand back, underneath, and then over the top. And you imagine that you've got a cup of tea sitting on your hand, and not spilling any of the tea out of there. So hand underneath, around, and then back. And you can actually go the opposite way as well. So hand over the top, and then underneath with both hands. So to be able to do the opposite hand, and then bring it over. Underneath, all the way around, and then over the top. So this is an integrative movement that takes all of the different ranges that you can move in your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, and your hand, and throws it all together. Now, the tougher part is to actually do it with both hands. So if you have it with your hands here in the front, you bring your hands underneath. Imagine that you've got that cup of tea where you keep your hands flat, and then wave your spine around. So it's bending forward, arching your spine, or rounding your back, and then coming back the other way to open up your chest and your hands. And we can do it the opposite way as well. So take the tea over the top, bring them around, and then don't spill that tea as you come around. So we've got very simple movements for the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and the hand, and then tying it all together at the end with an integrative movement that brings the whole entire system together. So good luck. Let me know what happens, and leave a comment down on the bottom for me. Take care.